Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Asad avishayam angrim bhavakam yam prapanam amritam amara varyan asayat sindhu matyam Kapata yuvati vesho mohayan yasurarim Tamaham upashritanam kamapuram natosmi. Assuming the form of a young woman and thus bewildering the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributed to his devotees, the demigods, the nectar produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always fulfills the desires of his devotees, I offer my respectful obeisances. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The instruction of this narration concerning the ocean, the churning of the ocean of milk, is clearly manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is equal to everyone, because of natural affection, he favors his devotees. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham sarvabhuteshu namedveshyosti napriyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. This partiality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is natural. A person who cares for his children A person cares for his children not because of partiality, but in a reciprocation of love. The children depend on the father's affection, and the father affectionately maintains the children. Similarly, because devotees do not know anything but the lotus feet of the Lord is always prepared to give protection to his devotees and fulfill their desires. He therefore says, Konteya pratijanihi nime bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled, The Mohini-murti Incarnation Bewilders Lord Shiva. Assuming the form of a young woman and thus bewildering the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributed to his devotees, the demigods, the nectar produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always fulfills the desires of his devotees, I offer my respectful obeisances. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 8, Chapter 12, entitled Mohini-murti Bewilders Lord Shiva. Text 47. In the purport we are reading from, Srila Prabhupada begins the instruction of this narration concerning the churning of the milk ocean is clearly manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is that message? That the Lord is equal to everyone. Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayi te shuchapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. In this dramatic narration by Shukadeva Goswami, this essential truth is presented in a fascinating way. Krishna is the father, the mother, and the well-wisher of every living being. Here we find in this section of Bhagavatam where the Lord's beloved children are aggressively, violently opposed to each other. The demigods, the devas, who want to live according to the will of the Lord, for the purpose of the Lord, are utterly defeated by the asuras, who, due to the infatuation of their false egos, they want to be the controllers, they want to be the proprietors and enjoyers of everything. Due to selfishness, they care nothing about the will of God. They care nothing about the welfare of others. Their concern is for themselves. And they make allies with each other. Why? Because each one is important for the other to fulfill their own selfish ambitions. Their alliances are not based on love and trust. They're based on mutual exploitation. I need you to fulfill my ambition, and you need me, so we're together. As soon as there's a disruption in that, there's no reason. There's no reason for cooperation. The Vaishnava principle is cooperation is for a higher cause. the lower cause of cooperation for the fulfillment of selfish interests is material mentality. But cooperation in Krishna consciousness, even if we have everything to lose materially, we are doing it because it pleases Krishna. Amani namana dena. Because it is our natural quality of the soul to honor and respect others and to not expect honor and respect for oneself. Srila Prabhupada in his last days, he instructed us, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate to carry on Krishna's mission. And that type of cooperation has, when it is based on that principle, it's actually eternal. It has no limitations. Because it is for the higher cause. And where that cooperation takes place, Krishna empowers. When Krishna sees that humble disposition among his devotees, he's so pleased, individually and collectively, because they've understood the essence, to put the higher principle of pleasing Krishna over our own selfish ideas. That's the basis of bhakti. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. How to please Krishna. Pleasing Krishna is more important than pleasing my own mind and my own senses and my own ego. It's very simple. That's what bhakti is. But it's very complicated because the mind and the senses and the ego are so powerful. And because we have been habituated since time immemorial to live according to the dictations of our lower nature, so when Krishna wants his devotees to cooperate, that's his will. But in the path of bhakti, Krishna will really test that cooperation. Without the test, it could just be, even in the name of Krishna and even in the name of devotional service, it could really be just for our own selfish, egoistic purpose. Yes? Anyone can hide behind the cloak that I'm doing it for Krishna. But Krishna sees both from inside out and outside in. He sees what we do. He sees why we do it. So in order to give us an actual chance of coming to the platform of pure devotional service, in order to actually give us the chance to please Krishna, Krishna has to make it difficult. Otherwise, we'll remain neophyte devotees forever. That's our tendency. You see, I'm doing it for Krishna. But internally, you're really not doing it for Krishna. You're doing it for yourself. And even demigods are oftentimes in this situation, and Krishna puts them to the test. Mixed devotional service. Yes, we want to please Krishna, but we will think that that's the priority. We will speak to others how that is the priority. But deep down inside, it's an ornament. It's an ornament that decorates our life to make ourselves appear, both to myself and to others, that I'm a holy person. But actually, deep down inside, I'm just selfish, like everyone else. Maybe because I'm a devotee, my selfishness is more pious. It might be more in the mode of goodness than the mode of passion and ignorance, but still it's selfish. So what does Krishna do? He puts situations where, in order to actually do what you're supposed to do, you really have to do it only for him. Because it will defy, it will contradict your selfish desires, your egoistic conceptions. That's Krishna's arrangement. Especially in regard to this idea of cooperation. Prabhupada said, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate. Now, everyone and anyone who has anything to do with the Hare Krishna movement will say, I love Prabhupada. You know, it's nice to feel that way, and it's very fashionable to speak that way. If Prabhupada didn't say this and didn't say everything else he says in his books, then it would be easy to just bewilder yourself. Yes, I love Prabhupada. I don't mind crushing another person for my self-interest, but I love Prabhupada. I don't mind breaking the regulative principles or minimizing the sadhana, but I love Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate. He explained so many times, you show your love for your guru by how you follow his instructions. So now it's something very real. And cooperation is tested. Because to cooperate means we are united for a higher cause. And in order to do it, there is going to be situations where in order to cooperate, it's painful to my ego. It's not what my senses want. It's very opposite to what my mind likes. When that situation comes, then we have to ask ourselves, it's becoming clear. All along, have I been doing it for me, or am I doing it for Krishna? So here we have the demigods and the asuras. They're fighting. They're enemies. They hate each other. And they're Krishna's children. They're really brothers and sisters. And Krishna's equal to everyone. He gives everyone a chance. Why did he side with the Devas if he's equal to everyone? This is a common question asked through the Vedic scriptures. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this question was asked. And it was a long story to explain the answer. Because when Srimad Bhagavatam wants to answer a question, it's done very thoroughly, and in the same time, so many other questions related to that question that are essential to understand in order to understand the answer to the original question are also presented. Yeah. To understand one thing in the Bhagavatam, you have to understand so many other things as well. It's a package. here we find the story of the demigods turning to Krishna. We are defeated. We've lost everything. We want to serve you. What should we do? And Krishna says, make truce with the asuras. Work together. Now this is very difficult. It's difficult enough for the demigods to work with each other. Not only do they have to work with each other, but now they have to work with their enemies who want to destroy them, who hate them, for a higher principle of getting nectar. And Krishna said, even the asuras will be willing to do this for nectar. They're willing to make a truce, even though they have the upper hand on you. They've devastated. They've taken everything away from you. What do they have to gain by working with you now? You're already nothing for them. You're finished. They've taken everything. You have no strength to stand before them. But for something higher, they will do it. For nectar. Because if they can get this nectar, they'll be able to enjoy in quality and the quantity of years everything they've taken from you to a much higher level. And that's what they want, ultimately. So they made the truce. But then throughout the story we find how Krishna's always there to help. It was just not possible to carry out Krishna's instruction. There was always some obstacle coming. And this is a very important instruction. Even if Krishna or the Guru or the senior Vaishnavas tell us to do something, our tendency is to think, because we are doing Krishna's will, everything should be smooth and easy. Yes? Because Krishna's the controller of all controllers. Why doesn't he make it easy? I'm doing it for him. But every story of Mahabharata, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other Vedic scripture, it's all about difficulties when you try to serve the Lord. So many obstacles. There's difficulties no matter what you do in this material world. But the difference is, when there's difficulties on the path of serving Krishna, again, it's a test. Are we doing it for me or are we doing it for Krishna? Anyone can say, I'm doing it for Krishna. But maybe you're doing it for your false ego. To get pride, to get prestige for what you've done. To get recognition and popularity and appreciation. Or maybe you're doing it because you just really like to do it. So why not do it for Krishna? If I didn't like to do it, I wouldn't do it for Krishna. But since I really like to do it, why not? If I'm not fully engaged in doing what I like to do for Krishna, then somebody might ask me to do something I don't like to do for Krishna. So better I just do this. Then I can tell everybody I'm too busy to do what I don't like for Krishna. So when obstacles come, that's a test. If I persevere, that means I'm doing it for Krishna. And if I take shelter of Krishna, that's the whole purpose of devotional service. Everything we do in devotional service is ultimately meant to bring us to the point of taking shelter of Krishna. So that's why obstacles in devotional service are so good, because they help to accelerate taking shelter of Krishna while we're doing it. Otherwise, if things are too easy, we do our service, which is wonderful, but we're not really taking shelter of Krishna. We could, but we usually don't. And the obstacles that came before the devas were impossible obstacles. First, to move this giant mountain to the ocean. They tried. It was a unified effort. Their hands were bleeding, their limbs were being broken, some people were being crushed to death. They couldn't. They lifted it slightly, and then it would fall on them. Then they'd lift it slightly, and it would fall on them. They weren't moving it anywhere. It was just going up and down slightly and crippling and killing them with all their might. Impossible. But then the devas turned to God, and He appeared on Garuda and effortlessly lifted the ocean and brought it. So that was nice. But He did it in response to their taking shelter completely. But then what happens? The mountain starts to sink in the ocean. It's going deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're trying to hold it up, and they can't. Another impossible obstacle. And what are they doing? They're just trying to do what the Lord told them to do. Why is it so difficult? Because in that situation, from their heart of hearts, again, they start praying to Krishna, save us. And then Krishna appears as a big turtle, Kurma avatar. And He crawls underneath the mountain, and He supports it. And then they start churning, and it starts going back and forth, and it's not steady. So Krishna comes again and holds it on the top. And the Asuras, they wanted the front part of Vashuki, the serpent that was used for the churning rope, because they were thinking that it's not as prestigious to be in the back as in the front. Yes? It's like sometimes when there's a long line, you want to go right to the front. You don't want to be in the back, because to be given first honors is very nice. So the demigods arranged, you go in the back, we'll go in the front. And they were outraged. They went on strike. So we will not participate in this unless we go in the front and you go in the back. So they got their way. But then when they started churning, Vashuki got hot, and fire was pouring out of his mouth. It was scorching and burning the Asuras. But for the Devas, they were in the back. They were nice and cool and comfortable. And then Krishna created rain because he was called upon to cool everything off. So many things came out. There were so many temptations. And in the end, the nectar. And because the Asuras were, in fact, more powerful, they took the entire quantity of nectar for themselves. And the devotees had no access to a drop of it. Quite amazing. They worked so hard for so long. They were injured. Some of them were killed and brought back to life. They really worked hard under the direction of the Lord, and then what's the result? Apparently, everything is 1,000,000 times worse than it began. Now, the Asuras have all the nectar, and we have nothing, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to get it from them. Very good. lesson. Sometimes you do something for the Lord and you work so hard, even for so many years, and then it appears it's a total failure. The opposite happens. Now, through this process, they were becoming humble, which is important, because bhakti means to be humble, because you can't take shelter without humility. It's just a show. And so they turned to the Lord again. Look, see, we're finished. The fruits of everything we've done is now stolen away from us. So the Lord appeared as Mohini-murti. Very, very beautiful, beautiful lady. Krishna, Vishnu himself, in a female form. And by glancing at the asuras, they were all convinced she loves me. And she appeared to each and every one of them exactly according to their particular taste, you may say. Yegatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna appears according to how you surrender. So please understand that the dynamics of what was happening when they were looking at Mohini-murti, at least philosophically. Each asura, she was presenting herself. It's not that they were all just seeing the same thing. It's not that they were just seeing the same person. They were seeing the same person, but the same person was revealing herself to each of them uniquely according to their conditioning. So whatever they were attached to in beauty, because different people are attached to different aspects of beauty, she was manifesting that supremely to them. You know, somebody likes nice nose. Somebody likes nice eyes. Somebody likes nice ears. Well, those ears and eyes and nose were really manifesting to them. And they were totally infatuated, intoxicated, and bewildered. They were all fighting over the nectar themselves. You see, they win, and then once they win, because, and Srila Prabhupada explains like this, what we were discussing, that when you make allies with others, when you cooperate, because it helps to fulfill our own selfish purpose, it's not real cooperation at all. The demigods and the asuras cooperated, but as soon as the nectar came, the asuras took everything and wouldn't give a drop to the people they cooperated with, because it wasn't for their self-interest. But then something more happened. Now all the asuras were thinking it's prestigious to get the first portion of it. So they started fighting among themselves of who was going to drink it first. There was a battle between them. They were really mad and angry and envious and proud and arrogant toward each other. They were fighting and fighting. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? Nobody could get it. Nobody could drink it because everyone was fighting over it. Then Mohini comes. And she didn't say anything about her real plan. All she did is glance and walk. That's all she had to do. There's no need for a philosophical, political speech. And the asuras said, they're all thinking, she loves me, she'll definitely give it to me. They said, we'll give you the nectar, and you decide who gets it first. She says, why do you trust me? You don't even know who I am or where I'm coming from. I'm all alone. You don't know who I associate with. How can you put so much trust in me? And they started to laugh. Oh, you're so funny. And they gave her everything. And then right in front of them all, she walked right over to the side of the demigods and started pouring it in their mouths. And amazingly, they didn't even, none of them got up to try to stop her. That's how much she captivated them. Now, interestingly, and this is explained a little later, the demigods were not so bewildered by Mohini-murti. Because the Lord didn't want to bewilder them. She wanted to bewilder the asuras. And she gave it all to the demigods. Then she turned into Lord Vishnu, the enemy of the asuras, and left. And then they really understood that they were cheated. And then another war broke out and everything else. So Lord Shiva comes to meet Vishnu with Parvati. He says, I want to see that form. First he offered beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu, how he's the supreme, he's the controller of all controllers. He said, I want to see that form. And Vishnu smiled. He said, are you sure? Yes. So I'm not going to go into the details of this story, but he revealed the form of Mohini. Vishnu disappeared, and then Lord Shiva was standing with his wife, and from behind some trees and some bushes, Mohini-murti appeared, playing with a ball. And Lord Shiva became so captivated that he ran toward her. And Mohini-murti was so expert. She ran right through the hermitages of Lord Shiva's devotees, who were all sannyasis and babajis and sadhus. And they're, doing their tapasya. And suddenly they see this lady without clothes on running through, and they're all like... And then they see their worshipable Lord running after her. And Parvati is watching this too. And then by the Lord's own potency, Lord Shiva became sober. And the beautiful thing in this story is Lord Shiva, he was proud. This is the power of my Lord. He has the power even to bewilder me. Now, Lord Shiva cannot be bewildered by the external energy, by Maya. It's impossible. Because his own wife is Maya, Durga. And he's the Lord of Durga. And there's a beautiful story when Kamadev, Cupid, tried to bewilder Lord Shiva with all of his powers and prowess and all of his different techniques. And ultimately shot an arrow of Kama at Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva looked at Cupid, and instead of melting away like anybody and everyone else in this universe, he just opened up his third eye, and fire came out, and he burned Cupid to ashes. That's Lord Shiva's tapasya. We can't imitate such a great soul. So the external Maya energy cannot in any way touch the heart of Shiva. He's above and beyond. He may be in his guna avatar, he may be associating with the modes of nature, but he's also above. So Mohini-murti was the internal spiritual potency of the Lord. And Krishna is all attractive. Just like Rupa Goswami, he offers a beautiful prayer that if you are attached to all the things that give you gratification in this world, the beauties, the charms, the wealth, the prestige, all these things, then please know that if you do go to Keshi Ghat on the bank of the Yamuna and you see Lord Govinda standing in his threefold bending form playing his flute, you will lose your interest in all of those things. Why? Because paramdristvani vartate. Because Krishna is unlimitedly more beautiful, more attractive, more satisfying to the heart and the soul than anything of this world. Daivi heshuku namayi mama maya duratyaya mame pamye prapadyante mayam etadtarantite. Krishna tells us in Gita, this material nature is very difficult to overcome. It's very difficult. Maya is so strong. She is the Lord's own potency within this world. Virtually, Maya is impossible to resist. But Krishna says, but one who takes shelter of me can easily cross beyond all of Maya's temptations. Why? Because Krishna's all attractive. Satchidananda Vigraha. And his attraction is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Whatever is beautiful in this world is like a spark. It's like a reflection of a spark of Krishna's beauty. So imagine it this way. There is the sun, planet. Massive. What we see of the sun planet is nothing of what's really there. The sun planet is fantastically bigger than this world, this earth planet. And how many sun rays are in the sun planet? How many sun rays are emanating from the sun planet? A sun ray is an infinitesimal spark. If the sun itself is millions of times bigger than this earth, and a sun ray is as tiny as anything could be, what is its relation with the sun? And all the beautiful things in this whole world, all the things that enchant and entice our minds and our hearts, are just like a reflection of a single sun ray. Not the sun ray itself, but a reflection of that sun ray. And we see how much it can affect us. Imagine when our attraction returns to the entirety of the sun planet. That's the difference between the attractions of this world and the attraction of the heart toward God. Krishna's all attractive. So bhakti means not just negating our attractions and our infatuations of this world. It means doing that simultaneously through the process of reconnecting with Krishna, tasting Krishna, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the literary incarnation of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya taught this, that every syllable of the Bhagavatam is Krishna. The Murti is not just a stone representation of God. God reciprocates with our love by appearing personally, directly, as the Murti, not in the Murti, but as the Murti, the worshipable deity. And the holy name, Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. All of Krishna's potency, His beauty, His splendor, everything's within the name. Pure spiritual potency. But yegatamam prapadyante. According to our consciousness, to the degree we take shelter of Krishna in these wonderful forms, we'll actually experience Krishna directly. So Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, He's the ultimate Vaishnav. Vishnu himself is in the role of a Vaishnav, is Lord Shiva. In a very special way, within this world. So Mohini-murti, we have to understand, it wasn't Maya. It was Krishna himself. It was Vishnu himself. With his all-attractive, incredible potencies. It was that sun planet, according to the analogy, fully and directly in this form. And yegatamam prapadyante, and she manifested just according to what Shiva wanted to see. And Shiva saw it. And his wife is watching. No, nobody wants to displease their wife. Because wives have potency. What to speak of Durga? She is the superintendent of the entire material existence. Yes? She's very powerful. She's all powerful. And she was watching, but she understood exactly what was happening. She was proud of her husband. Because she understood what was going on here. Shiva ultimately, when he realized what just happened, and he realized that he totally lost control of himself, instead of being ashamed, embarrassed, he was not proud of himself, he was proud of Krishna. Just let the whole world see how powerful Krishna is. This is a striking example of spiritual pride. Yes? Because we're told that pride comes before the fall. And pride is the worst enemy for a person who's actually sincerely trying to approach God. And even people who give up material possessions, who give up sex life, who give up everything, all the enjoyments of this world, usually they're still trapped in this material existence because they're proud of what they've done. As long as we're proud of what we've done, we're still in Maya. And pride is so subtle and so strong. But a devotee is proud. The greatest Paramhamsas are proud, but they're proud of Krishna. They're proud with what, when we hear Krishna's beautiful leelas, we become filled with pride. How Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill for 7 days, and he supported it on the tip of his little finger. Some people say this is mythology. How is it possible for a 7-year-old boy to lift a huge mountain and hold it up with his little finger when massive rainstorms and high cyclonic winds are blowing and he's just keeping it? The strongest winds in the world were blowing. Massive storms of not just monsoons, but devastating rains. And yet the hill didn't budge from the tip of Krishna's finger. And he was smiling. He was happy. He was having leelas with all of Vrijabasis through his glances, his smiles, his laughter for 7 days. Someone may say, impossible. It's just a story. It's an analogy. It's a philosophy. Well, what is our understanding of God if he can't do that? It's a small thing for Krishna. He can create all the universes. He could create all living entities within the universe and all the variegatedness. God can't come down to this earth and lift a mountain. Of course he can. So when we read this story, we become so proud. This is Krishna. And when we're proud of Krishna, it brings real satisfaction that cannot be disturbed by any situation, because Krishna is infallible. Yes? If Krishna were to drop the hill and crush all the Vrijabasis, that would crush our pride. But he never does that because he's infallible. He's God. He may get bound up he may cry incessant tears because Mother Yashoda is showing him a stick. Yes? And he's falling at her feet and begging forgiveness. Please, put that stick away. I'm too much afraid of your stick. You might hit me with your stick. And she wouldn't hit him. She was just showing it to him. But he'll never drop the mountain. This is Krishna. So when we put our pride in Krishna, when we take happiness in what Krishna does, then our happiness is unlimited and forever. When we take pride in what we do, then it's just a matter of time till our so-called happiness is very much frustrated. So here we find a very graphic example. Lord Shiva is proud that just see what Krishna did to me. And Parvati was proud. Just see what Krishna did to my all-powerful husband. And all the rishis were proud. Just see what Krishna did to our worshipable Lord, Vishnu. It's perfect. So in this way, Krishna is intimately reciprocating by showing favor to his devotees. And the progression is very interesting herein, because Krishna showed favor to the devas by helping them in every stage of the churning of milk. And then Krishna showed favor to the devas by giving the nectar to them. But because Lord Shiva has the deepest and highest love, he showed the most favor to Shiva of everyone. Not by just giving him some of that nectar. Shiva didn't need the nectar. He didn't even come. He didn't even show up to receive it, right? He didn't need it. He's above all that stuff. Worldly nectar. But Shiva got the nectar of being totally infatuated directly by God himself. And in this case, by God herself. So for all of you, we have to understand this, that God is female. It's a fact. God is female and God is male. Radha, Krishna, Sita, Ram, Lakshmi, Narayan. Two aspects of the one truth, the male and female. And here, the male becomes the female. And who is who? Same truth, same person. Sukadeva Goswami, he was Atmarama. He's the one speaking the verse we're reading from today, offering obeisances to Lord, the Supreme Lord who appeared in this fantastic female form. Now, Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul. He was in the womb of his mother. His father was Vyasadeva. And he stayed in the womb for 12 years. Why? Because he understood the world, there's all kinds of Maya and there's all kinds of people fighting over insignificant, trivial, egoistic things. That's what the world is about. As long as there's history, there's wars, there's greed. It's always prominent in this world. He didn't want any part of it. And all the allurements and all the things people get distracted by. In the womb of a mother, it's totally dark, can't see anything, right? What is there to get attracted to in the womb of a mother? Every little baby wants to get out. But Sukadeva Goswami wanted to stay in. He had decided, I'm going to stay in as long as the duration of this life. Now, the mother was not very happy about that. Nor was the father. And finally, it took Krishna, who's all attractive, to attract him to come out. He was Brahman realized. He had achieved mukti. He was tasting the sweetness of Brahman. Mukti. He was self-satisfied. Doesn't matter, I'm in the womb, I'm happy. It's just like that. But then, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, and Krishna personally coming to invite him to come out, he was attracted. He was willing to come out of his very safe haven. Atmaramastu munayo. That beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam. That Krishna is so attractive that even those who are thoroughly liberated beyond the modes of material nature, they become attracted to Krishna. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami, he came out. And then he left home. He wasn't concerned about the protection and the comforts and everything else. Of course, he was already over 12 years old. It's not like he was an infant. And he just walked away. Can you imagine a baby like that? just comes out of the womb and just walks away. And the mother saying, come back, come back. And father saying, please return, return. And he just walked away. Didn't even look back. And then there's the story of the ladies who were bathing, and he passed by them, and they just continued bathing. Then Vyasadeva came, and they all put on their clothes and screamed. And he said, why are you screaming for me and not my son? He said, because he doesn't see the difference between male, female. He doesn't have any desires for you may be a liberated soul, but you see a difference because you're a grihasta. But he doesn't see any difference. That was Sukadeva Goswami, so liberated. He was only 16 years old when he came to the bank of the Ganges. And who was there? They were trying to decide who's going to speak the Bhagavad Purana to Parikshit. There was Vyasadeva, his father. There was Narada Muni, his Param Guru, the Guru of Prahlad and Dhruva, and so many others. And there was Vashishta Muni and Vishwamitra Muni and Gautam Rishi, Bhardraj Muni. These people are really senior. Yes? They're in age, they're so senior, nobody knows how old they are. We don't see a birth certificate for these people. They're practically as old as the creation, some of these sages. And they're all gathered. And they've all proven themselves in Ramayana and other Puranas and other Mahabharats. They've proven themselves to be totally pure, self-realized, learned people with the greatest disciples anyone's ever had in the universal creation. They're all there. And here, 16-year-old Sukadeva Goswami appears, and they all unanimously say he is most qualified to speak the Bhagavatam. And here, Sukadeva Goswami is praising Lord Shiva for his attraction to Mohini-murti. Because it's completely transcendental. It's attraction directly to Krishna, not to the external energy. And Sukadeva Goswami is praising unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead who always fulfills the desires of his devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances. He is honoring, worshipping, and glorifying Mohini-murti, who always fulfills and satisfies his devotees. Through all the obstacles and all the tests and all the purifications, he fulfilled the desires of the demigods. Through this mysterious Leela, he fulfilled the desire of Lord Shiva. It wasn't in the way Shiva expected it to be fulfilled, but he fulfilled his desire. And Srila Prabhupada explains like this. Krishna reciprocates with our love. Krishna gives every living being the opportunity to know him, to love him, to serve him, and to find the ultimate happiness. Everyone, without discrimination. But according to the choices we make by our free will, which is something we eternally have, free will, because we're part of God. According to those choices, Krishna reciprocates. So Krishna's totally impartial, and his apparent partiality is the highest testament of his impartialness. Vritrasura, he was an asura. But because he turned to God with devotion, the Lord was more partial to giving him than he was to Indra. who's a devotee. So at any time, anyone, if we really turn to Krishna sincerely with an honest heart, Krishna gives himself to us. And that's how he's impartial. Because he's willing to give himself to anyone, whoever we are. But according to how we either decide to receive him or to reject him, he responds accordingly. Krishna's Bhakta Vatsal. He responds to love. You can't blame a mother or a father for their special affection for their child, especially when the child is totally dependent on the mother and father. It's reciprocation. Love means reciprocation. So this is the great hope. Doesn't matter what your caste or your sex or your nationality or your education or what planet you live on. Gajendra was an elephant. He wasn't even a human. But because he took shelter of the Lord gave him everything. He gave him himself. And Ramchandra's best devotees, they were monkeys. Hanuman. The Lord wants to show. It's not a matter of material designations. It's a matter of the sincerity of our heart. He gives himself. He gives the highest liberation to those who turn to him. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatmakritam. And the obstacles that come our way, if we just turn to Krishna with integrity in the face of obstacles, that's the real test of our genuineness. And Krishna will give us entrance into his eternal loving service. And the Bhagavatam concludes with all these teachings of the Bhagavatam. If we can just assimilate them, then we can achieve the highest perfection simply by approaching Krishna, by chanting his holy name. Is there any questions? Madhavananda from.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, in the beginning you told about the spirit of cooperation based on selflessness to the service of the Lord. And so it is very easy to understand when there is selfish cooperation and then it breaks because of the motivation not being fulfilled. But there are very sincere and selfless people, both quoting the same things like Prabhupada, everyone telling each other that Prabhupada said, we love him if we show cooperation. Everyone is quoting the same thing. They are all sincere, selfless. And still, the issue comes that why should I bend every time? Cooperate means basically I will take the lower position generally. Now what principle we apply at that level where everyone appears to be following the instruction Means Prabhupada is not there now to question, or sometimes the Guru may not be there who has given the instruction. So amongst themselves, how do they resolve?
Something happening at Bhaktivedanta Hospital?
Not yet.
What?
Not yet.
Always good to be prepared. For those who, Madhavananda Prabhu is the director of Bhaktivedanta Hospital. Somebody may want to cooperate, other person does not want to cooperate. Someone may be selfless, someone else may be selfish. If all parties are actually selfless, there's not going to be a problem in cooperation. That selfishness, or that envy, or that pride, is what creates disruption within this world. If they're actually selfless, even if they have different ideas and different feelings, their devotion will compensate. Yes? It's like in Vrindavan, there are different opinions. People don't always agree on the same thing, but they're all united in whatever pleases Krishna the most. Yes? The left-wing gopis and right-wing gopis. The only reason they're having any type of dispute is because Krishna likes it. There's no envy, there's no pride, there's no selfishness. They actually love each other totally. They absolutely love the people that they're disputing with, and the dispute just makes everything exciting for them and for Krishna and everyone else. Because there's no ego. There's no selfishness. And in this world, if there's real selflessness, then even if there's different ideas, there will be respect, there will be honor, and there will be ultimately what Krishna wants. It will be revealed. The truth is very much revealed. Prabhupada spoke the truth. But the realization comes according to our selfless spirit of service. We can verbally cite the truth. We can mentally contemplate the truth. But realization of the truth comes according to the selfless nature of our service attitude. So real selflessness is based on a realization. It's not just something we can pretend to do. So what you're saying, if all parties are actually selfless, then even different opinions, because there will always be different opinions. Even among Paramhamsas, there's different opinions. There's never a different opinion of what our purpose is, but there's different opinions of how to execute for the purpose. But it's congenial because there's love and respect for God and love and respect for each other. Now, in a situation where one party is selfless and really wants to serve and another party really isn't because of selfish interests, then cooperation takes some very sincere intelligence. How to best please Krishna through this cooperation. Yes? If it means that we always have to give in and we always have to bend down, if it actually serves the higher purpose, why not? But if it's just fulfilling somebody else's egoistic thing and it's distracting others from that higher purpose, then we have to balance it intelligently. Raghunath Das Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, they would offer their full prostrated Dandavat obeisances every day, at least 1,000 times, to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees. Yes? And they're Goswamis. They're Maharajas. They're the highest kings of spiritual revelation. Yes? And part of their daily sadhana is to 1,000 dandavats a day to devotees. And we're thinking, oh, why should I bend down before another devotee? Well, the Goswamis are willingly, they're not only bending down, they're laying down. Bending is only half the process of a dandavat. Right? First you bend, that's the first third. Then you bow, that's the second. And then you prostrate. So it's much more than bending. It's prostrating. And they're ecstatically doing it thousands of times a day. Every day. Like lines in stone. But our ego says, why should I bend to somebody else? If it serves the higher purpose, then it's fine to bend. But if it's actually not serving the higher purpose, then we have to intelligently, cooperate from our sides as far as possible. But we don't want to cooperate with, if it doesn't make that much difference, then why not? The unity of us, however much I humble ourselves, will be stronger than the separateness. But if it's actually a deviation, then we have to be intelligent and take guidance from people who see the bigger picture and the higher perspective. That's the safe thing to do, rather than independently saying, he thinks this, but he's wrong, and I think this, and I'm right. We really feel that, and both are devotees, then the safe thing is to go to a senior devotee who sees things from a higher perspective, from a more full dimension, and take guidance. Does that answer your question?
Maharaj, talking about Lord Shiva, he was very straightforward and very simple. Well, we come into devotional life, and after some years of time, we have come to some status in our Krishna consciousness, and people accept us and get some status in our life that this person is like this way. And we wanted to maintain that status for our whole lifetime. We don't want to get deviated. Nobody should have that impression, wrong impression on me now. That type of impression, we always wanted to stick to it. And we don't want to get deviated in any way. And that becomes a type of a hypocrisy in our Krishna consciousness. We don't want to expose ourselves what we really are. We see the example of Shiva. He was very straightforward. Whatever happened, happened. He made it very clear. This is what I am. That type of thing is extremely difficult in our Krishna consciousness, to be open and tell in front of everybody, this is what I am and I am this way. Please help me out. And that happens more and more. We spend more and more in devotional life. That becomes more and more stick to it. That I have to show all the devotees this way only, because they have accepted me this way. And whatever my weakness I have in my heart, I don't want to expose it out. Otherwise my impression will become bad. How to see that goes away, because that is becoming a blockade in our Krishna consciousness, because Krishna doesn't want to reveal us thoroughly, because we are showing that hypocrisy in our heart. So how to see, Maharaj, that has been cleared out?
Hare Krishna. by taking to the process of bhakti sincerely, then gradually that purity of heart and purity of motive is cleansed. It is deep-seated, the false ego. It's the subtlest, deepest, and most powerful of all conditionings. And by practicing honesty and practicing the chanting of God's name, taking shelter through our prayers, through our service, and through the cooperative, sincere, honest endeavors of our efforts in Krishna consciousness and how we treat each other, all of these things attract Krishna's mercy. And ultimately, it's only by the mercy of Krishna, when he sees that we're really sincere and we're really trying to overcome our ulterior motives, that Krishna gives us that purity. He reveals to us the purity of ourself. But we have to want it. We have to yearn for it. We have to cry for it, as you are now. And if we really do it, then Krishna will give us that realization. Lord Shiva is Mahajan. We cannot imitate, but we can follow in his footsteps. How great is he? Everyone in this material world wants wealth and pleasures. And Durga is giving it. She's the ultimate bestower of wealth, of jewels, of money, of comforts, of nice clothes, of good food. She gives it to everyone within this world. And here is her Lord, Shiva. And he has no house. If he wears any clothes at all, it's just tree bark. And he doesn't even have a roof over his head. It's just for the whole time of creation. He lives under a tree. So what everyone wants from his wife, he doesn't want any of it. He only wants to meditate on Krishna. So doesn't that show us something? He has access to everything, and he's happy just meditating on Krishna with nothing. In doing so, he's teaching us, this is what you should do. Don't be attached to all these things. It's all temporary. It's all here and there and gone. Our real wealth is Krishna. Just meditate on the Lord. Serve the Lord. It's the highest wealth. We want from his wife everything that he rejects. And we reject everything that he wants. That's material life. Yes, Sri Rama Prabhu.
Maharaj, in a question regarding to your reply to Madhavananda Prabhu, he said that we have to see the higher purpose. And sometimes we see in our practical dealings with the Vaishnavas that when we see some disturbing activities of a particular Vaishnava, if we don't speak about it and we just continue the way it is, things are fine. But the moment we speak about it and we really raise it up, things get really disturbed. I mean, things get really more muckier. Less like if things, we just a peaceful place, but we just bring it up, then becomes more muckier. So the higher, sometimes we think in our mind the higher principle is peace, because we don't want to create disturbance in the Vaishnava Sangam. So what is little confusing to me is, what is the higher principle when you talk about cooperation? Is tolerating also a sign of cooperation, or to bring it up and create a disturbance maybe for some amount of time, but yes, it will be known and something could be done about it. But many times we just remain silent, things continue, things are fine, but we get really burnt within our hearts. So that was a disturbance in my mind.
Hare Krishna. According to the time, place, circumstance, and the people involved, we should be sober to not just react according to our impulses, but to react according to what's overall best for our own spiritual life, for other people's spiritual lives, for the society. So in these situations, we really do have to meditate on a more complete picture of what really is beneficial. There's no single, simple answer to your question, except this. It's a simple answer, but we have to apply it, and it will obviously fit differently to different situations and different people. But in certain situations we see by Prabhupada, who is our Acharya, how he dealt with things. Sometimes he very openly confronted situations and changed it. Other times, when other people tried to do that, he said, "You have created a worse problem than the original problem." So essentially, in order to deal with situations like that, we require maturity, purity, and realization to really be effective. To the degree we have those qualities, we're going to make the right choices. Now, obviously, the question is, what do we do until we attain maturity, purity, and realization? We can consult people who have more of that than us. And we also have to really pray and with our whatever intelligence we do have, what really is overall best for the service of Krishna. In the present, in the future. Sometimes it may be one way, sometimes it may be the other way. Sometimes it's best to be tolerant and deal with things in a very quiet way. Other times it may be more beneficial to do things in more public ways. Yes? The question is, what is going to elevate the people in general and the people concerned? What is going to elevate their consciousness? What is going to serve the best purpose? Because the whole purpose of human life is to elevate our consciousness. The whole purpose of Krishna descending in his different avatars is to elevate our consciousness. The whole purpose of any real spiritual society is to elevate people's consciousness. So according to how we deal with a situation, we have to very, very seriously, through our prayer, through our intelligence, through taking guidance from senior people, how to deal with it so that in the present as well as in the future, we're actually elevating people's consciousness. We're not degrading it. And certain situations are difficult. But that's the way Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas dealt with it. Does that answer your question? You know, for persons having difficulty, we can deal with the difficulty and destroy that person's spiritual life by crushing her or him. Or you can deal with it in a way that it may not be so pleasant, but it elevates them. So we have to think about the persons we're directly dealing with, and then we have to think about the whole society around of how it's going to affect them. But our purpose is not just what's right and wrong, because what's right ultimately is elevating people's consciousness, and what's wrong is to degrade it. So all of our decisions of right and wrong has to be in reference to the big picture of what's right and wrong. You know, the way that we can restore and encourage people's faith in the association of devotees and the chanting of the holy name. Thank you very much.